Mr. Speaker, Walgreens is planning to close yet another pharmacy in the Massachusetts 7th, this time on Warren Street in Roxbury, a community that is 85% Black and Latino. This closure is a part of a larger trend of abandoning low-income communities like the previous closures in Mattapan and Hyde Park, both in the Massachusetts 7th. When a Walgreens leaves a neighborhood, they disrupt the entire community, and they take with them baby formula, diapers, asthma inhalers, life-saving medications, and of course, jobs. These closures are not arbitrary, and they are not innocent. They are life-threatening acts of racial and economic discrimination.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about woke Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, a member of the squad, one of the most useless group of Congress members that we have, if not the most useless group. Okay, they never do anything except boohoo, whine, and cry racism, right? This is what they do, and this is what we have to talk about here today, because Ayanna Pressley went on this unhinged rant against some of the regulators at the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, aka the FDIC, and criticized the leadership in their chair, Martin Gruenberg, for failing to address persistent and widespread sexual harassment at the agency. Now, allegedly, this jeopardized financial regulations pending at the agency. And instead of just sticking to the allegations of a toxic work environment and sexual harassment or whatever, right? Instead of just sticking to criticizing them for failing to do something about it, no. She had to go on this racist rant where she basically says that she's tired of white men failing up. Take a look.
There is not one woman on this panel, and I almost walked out just on the strength of that. But the only reason why I didn't is because that is a systemic issue here in Congress and often for people who come before this committee. And if you don't have one woman in a position of leadership and authority that should be there, then that is also a problem. But again, women, hundreds of women, the report detailed hundreds of women who experienced harassment with no recourse. For over a decade, the FDIC, under your leadership and your predecessors, ignored them. Chair Gruenberg, in November, in fact, not that long ago, you stated that the FDIC already has, quote, appropriate policies and procedures in place, unquote. Do you now agree, and this is a yes or no question, I'm serious, do you now agree that the policies and procedures in place have been a cataclysmic failure and an affront to the many women who have been harassed, pushed out of the FDIC, and forced to change their career goals and life trajectory?
They have failed, yes, Congresswoman.
Small, ashamed, traumatized, humiliated, alone. These are just a few of the words to describe the intense feelings of sexual harassment and what survivors endure. According to the FDIC's own reporting, more than 80% of harassment complaints resulted in zero discipline. And when there were repercussions, not a single one resulted in removal, reductions in grade or pay, or any discipline more serious than a temporary suspension. I am so tired of white men failing up. This lack of accountability is a shameful, inadequate, and deeply unsatisfactory, and it is re-traumatizing.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, this woman claims that she's tired of white men failing up. Now, if that is the case, then I can assume that she's tired of Joe Biden because he seems to fail up all the time, right? When he gets on the plane, he falls quite a bit, okay? He falls upward every time he gets on a plane, so it seems. So she should be tired of Joe Biden. But again, what we have here is something that really annoys me about our modern day congressmen and women is that we have a group of them that simply cannot make an argument for anything without boohoo, whining, and crying racism, okay, or making some type of racist claim against whites, which we see happen just out in the open, right? It's in your face. This is what she's doing, because imagine if a white person was to say something like, well, I'm tired of black people failing up, right? Or just to say, I'm tired of black people, period, right? Just even the phrase, I'm tired of black people, would not be tolerated at all. It would automatically be racist, right? Even if you were white, you said, well, I'm tired of black people always complaining about racism. They say you're racist for complaining about black people complaining about racism. This is what they say. But she can go into Congress and say, well, I'm tired of white people or white men failing up, and nobody will say anything about it, right? That's totally fine. That's totally okay. That's totally acceptable. Amazing. Absolutely amazing stuff. We are really lacking intellect when it comes to our leaders. We really are. This is why they can't argue for anything without boohoo, whining, and crying racism. At the beginning of this video, you saw the clip of her talking about how Walgreens shouldn't close down, even though, you know, they can't operate in that Boston, Roxbury area profitably. Well, they shouldn't close down because it's racist, right? It's racist for them to close down. You know, she's talking about these white men failing up because they failed to, I guess, take care of alleged accusations of sexual misconduct and discrimination. Okay, well, white man failing up. There's also another story about how she is trying to get rid of ShotSpotter in Boston because apparently is racist. They placed too many of their sound systems, their alarm systems, in so-called black and brown communities. And this is why they want to get rid of the system. Take a look.
New here at 4:30, trouble with technology leading U.S. senators to call for a federal probe of gunshot detection tools that are called ShotSpotter. The equipment is placed on light poles and used by police to respond faster to shootings, but a recent report shows the systems are placed primarily in minority neighborhoods, and officials say this is a violation of civil rights laws. In a letter to the Department of Homeland Security, Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey said, quote, several recent reports have cast substantial doubt on the accuracy and effectiveness of the ShotSpotter gunshot detection system and have raised serious questions about its contribution to unjustified surveillance and over-policing of black, brown, and Latino communities. In response to the letter, the company behind the ShotSpotter says, quote, we believe this letter and its claims are without merit, and we are confident that the DHS will see through this baseless attempt to disparage this critical public safety technology.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? I think they could have kept the part about, oh, well, this is contributing to the over-policing of black and brown communities. They could have kept that part out of it, right? You could have just made the argument of, hey, we just don't believe that this works, that it is worth it in order to stop crime, right? We just don't think that the technology has the appropriate return on investment that will make it worth it. But no. They always have to cite racism, okay? They can't make an argument without boohoo, whining, crying racism. Now, last time we talked about ShotSpotter, we talked about Chicago and woke Mayor Brandon Johnson trying to get rid of it because racism. And he originally announced the end of the system being used in Chicago, but there was one catch, right? He wanted to keep the system in place until after the DNC, even though he claims, oh, well, it's not effective and it's racist. Okay, well, if it's not effective and it's racist, then why do you want to keep it till after the DNC? It's just funny how that works, okay? But Chicago, they're grappling with this question of whether or not to keep ShotSpotter as well because, again, they feel like, or some people feel like, that is racist and that is ineffective. Take a look.
The ShotSpotter debate continues today with City Council delaying their vote on keeping the technology on a ward-by-ward basis. This follows Mayor Brandon Johnson announcing the city would be canceling the contract and removing the technology. Our Tara Molina joins us now from the newsroom. Tara, this has been quite the battle.
It sure has, Erica. For many Chicago aldermen in neighborhoods where we see the most gun violence, they're fighting to keep the controversial gunshot detection system in their wards. The order they support would require City Council to vote on removing the technology from any of them.
Let's go back to where this started. In February, Mayor Brandon Johnson announced the city would stop using ShotSpotter, referring to studies questioning how well it works and the millions and millions the city spends on it annually. It was also a campaign promise made by Johnson. The plan? A September end date with a 2-month transition period into November, giving Chicago police time to adapt. But there are a number of aldermen fighting the decision, calling for ShotSpotter tech to stay in Chicago, even on a ward-by-ward basis, saying it allows for first responders to reach victims of gun violence faster, supporting an order they say would give City Council the control to vote on its removal, and control rather than the mayor. We heard both sides in City Hall today ahead of the delayed vote.
We have so much research now that shows that ShotSpotter does not work. It's very flawed technology, and that's why over a dozen plus major cities have rejected this technology. They've said it's not a good use of our limited public safety dollars.
We are unsure and unclear of what the alternative is to replace ShotSpotter. And right now, my community is not in the position to be guinea pigged or to be another pilot from technology that has shown that it has saved lives.
Alderman Coleman pointed to the mass shooting here this past weekend. Police responded to ShotSpotter alerts. The CBS 2 investigators have been digging into ShotSpotter technology for years. Recently, internal reports from the state's attorney's office revealing what they called a, quote, minimal return on investment when it comes to holding shooters accountable. We now expect the vote on this to happen at the council meeting next month. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Tara Molina, CBS 2 News.
All right, Tara, thank you.
Yeah, so this is how I feel about this, right? If the woke revolutionaries say it's racist, then just get rid of it then. Just get rid of it. Don't have it, right? If you're so concerned about so-called black and brown communities being over-policed and you're saying it's not effective, it doesn't help, even though I've heard a lot of stories about how ShotSpotter has helped police and first responders get to gunshot victims quicker and sooner than they otherwise would have without it. If they feel like they don't want it and that is a racist thing and that is not effective, just go ahead and get rid of it. Like, just let all these liberal cities become cities of, I mean, they're already cities of chaos, right? But just go ahead and just get rid of all of it, right? In fact, while you're at it, just get rid of the police too, right? Just get rid of the police, get rid of public safety, get rid of all that stuff, okay? Because it's all racist, okay? This is what they should do, okay? This is what they should do. Because at this point, it seems like these people are just against any type of common sense measures to try to make their communities safe. That's what it seems like to me. These people are more concerned about ShotSpotter and all the money being spent doing that than they're concerned about money being spent on illegals, right? So I haven't heard Ayanna Pressley complain about the money that Boston is spending taking care of illegals, which is money that can be, better spent on so-called black and brown people, but she ain't really got nothing to say about that though, right? She's silent on that. But she got a whole lot to say about, I'm concerned about the money being spent on ShotSpotter. I just find that to be fascinating. I really do. I think that these politicians, their priorities are out of line. I don't necessarily know if ShotSpotter is effective. I think some people say that it is. Some people say that it's not. It could be specific to the neighborhood that is in. That may be the right answer. I think the answer is probably somewhere in the middle. But regardless of that, again, when these progressives come out here and they want to complain about the city wasting money to try to fight crime, okay, I hear where you're coming from, but I think you should also be complaining about the city's wasting money taking care of illegals, right? If you're not complaining about that too, and all the other waste that the city spends money on, then, I just feel like your priorities are out of line, right? I really do. But hey, these liberal cities for the most part are hellholes, and it's because of the politicians, and this is who these people vote for. So, hey, it ain't really my problem. I'm just glad I don't live there. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.